Well, hey everybody, this is Dennis. I started putzing around with my steering column to resolve a squeak that I thought had gone away, but now that the temperatures are changing, it's come back. And squeaks in older cars are kind of normal. Sometimes you have different materials rubbing up against each other, whether it's rubber on plastic or rubber on metal or what have you, and a lot of your mechanical parts are lubricated with grease or motor oil or whatnot to prevent friction and squeaking and whatnot. But some of these less critical items either are treated with petroleum jelly or WD-40 or something of that nature, and over time, that kind of wears down, and you get something like this. I don't know if you can hear that squeaky in there, but I've got a squeak. Initially, I thought it was coming from back here, right behind the steering wheel, because when you're driving, everything sounds like it's all coming at you. It's all coming at you this way. And so you think it's close to you. So then the other day I got up underneath here with my head and started using my ears and figured out that nope, it's not here, and it's not way back in. Where's the light? Not way back in there where it goes through the firewall. Apparently there's a seal right back in here that's giving me the... So I thought I'd go ahead and grab the camera and document this little journey and let y'all follow along. So to get the shroud off the steering column here, there are 5 screws. You can see 3 of the screw holes there. I've run the screws out already. And then there's this. Try not to get vertigo as I move. This little ring over here around the ignition, which just kind of is one of those things where you pop it and off it goes, and then I can pull the steering column apart. So I'm going to pull that shroud off and nose around and see if I can find my squeak. Stay tuned. Okay, well, I'm back, and now you can see the clamshell from around the steering column is out, and this is my first in-process video, and I have already embarrassed myself. So I was convinced that that squeaky noise was coming from somewhere around in here, but you know what? From the back of the clock spring all the way down through the firewall, there's this outer shroud or tube, and inside of that is where the steering column rotates. So even if the squeak was right about here or anywhere in between, there is no way for me to get to that little sucker and fix it. So after some further review, I got my head back down underneath the dashboard, and lo and behold, the squeak really is coming from the firewall. And how I determined that was I got down in here. Okay, and so now this is the steering column. Comes out of the firewall back there where it's really hard to see because of the lighting. And then, so that's the upper steering column. This is the lower steering column, which I recently learned is under recall, so I need to get that taken care of. But if I grab this knuckle down here and wiggle it back and forth, I've got a squeaker. And that squeaker is up inside. There's a boot. It's a boot. There's a boot right there. You've got lower, upper, and back up there, and that inside that boot that's sucked up into the firewall. It's a rubber boot. That's where the squeak's coming from. So now I get to try a couple of things to see if I can quelch it myself, and if nothing else, when I take it in to get the recall addressed, I'll ask the mechanics that do the recall work if they wouldn't mind getting something up in there to lubricate that to make that squeak go away. But first we're going to see what I can do on my own. Okay, and we're back, and hopefully the lighting's a little bit better. I moved the light and I fussed around a little bit. We're coming at this from the other side so you can get a better look. Here is the lower steering column, the recall part. Yeah, it's a 12-year-old truck. If it hasn't failed in 12 years, it's probably not going to, which is why I'm not running to Nissan to get the thing fixed. But I will get it fixed here in the next few weeks. But so this is the lower steering column. This is the upper steering column. With the rubber boot that goes through the firewall, that goes up through that little tube that I pointed out in the last segment, which prevents you from getting direct access. But the important thing is I took some WD-40, and you see how that's kind of dark back in there because it was gray and dusty looking until I moistened it with the WD-40. But after the first couple of shots of WD-40, it automatically fixed itself. So I'm going to grab, there's a knuckle right here. I'll grab this. I'm going to wiggle it back and forth like I did in the last segment, and no squeak. Awesome! So, yay. So, one of the things I like about car repair is that it's trial and error. And as long as you don't go too far, you're not going to break anything. So, you know, if a bolt isn't coming loose, stop and put some WD-40 on it and see if it loosens up. And if the bolt doesn't loosen up and you're not comfortable going any further, then stop before you break it and bring in some help and take it to somebody. And it's really cool when you figure something like this out, because now I have a little bit more pride of ownership. You can do it too if you want. The other funny thing is, as I step back from my light, is one of my things is that I always keep a moist rag handy. And one of the really, really incongruent things about me liking car repair is I hate being dirty. So I always keep a moist towel with me, so every once in a while I can just kind of clean the gunk off my hands. And then there's a dry towel that's hanging from my back pocket, which I'm not going to show you. I used to dry my hands, and that way once in a while I clean my hands and my clean freak is, taken care of, and I continue working. Weird how that works out, but lots of people are weird in lots of different ways. But anyway, so I thought that would be a fun little, I was hoping it was going to be quick and dirty, and it took a little bit longer, but a fun little way of chasing down one of those minor pain in the butt problems that just annoys you. And when the temperature was hot, it just kind of went away on its own, and then within the last 3 or 4 days it came back. And I had some time this afternoon, and so I thought, let's see if I can figure this out. And I did. Time well spent. Peace.